Welcome back, everyone, to this beta break. This time we're coming at you for a recap of the 77 Showdown, a very controversial competition format brought to you by the brainchild of goat climbing, Chris Moyle, who is joined with our international correspondent, Tyler. Tyler is actually on location this time with Chris, so this is an interesting format we're trying here. Let me see how this goes. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to being here.
Thanks for joining us. And, of course, welcome, Tyler. All right, so getting into it, how long have we been doing this, right? So 77 Showdown, this is the third year?
Third Showdown, yeah. Yep.
The first Showdown was a different format, though. It was kind of
Yeah, so first year we still did the modified red points quali round. And then we had finals in a more standardized format, as per usual. And then it was year two that we decided to change things.
Yeah. Bracket system.
Yeah. Create some chaos.
Yeah. I gotta say, I love it. Just off the bat, I think you're the only gym that is actually experimenting with format. Yeah. And I think that's awesome because we've had the same format for a long time and there's room to improve it. And the only way to do it is to have actual experimentation.
Yeah. And, we definitely made a few mistakes in year two in the bracket format. And we definitely have improved the competition format for the modified red point round every single time. Actually, one of the most stinging criticisms, apart from this guy, was Basim's comment about the Masters round being too easy. So this year, we spent a lot of time actually reformatting the Masters round and actually building a Masters round that was appropriate developmentally as well as like in terms of the actual physical capability of the athletes. And, we should refer to them as athletes, not just people over the age of 40, because they are ultimately. And it produced a really interesting round of climbs with a lower level of risk, which I think is a bit more important.
Yeah.
And opening up the under 14 as well was super cool to give the aptly named Cowboys Cowgirls round.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
I was gonna say you had that as well. Yeah, and unfortunately I couldn't join in the Masters round because I'm literally fresh off the table.
Yeah, after all that, well, that's Mackie talked in the last one. We then put up a really cool Masters round just for Basim. Yeah, you can't even do it.
Built a whole category just for the guy.
I was tempted, but
different.
I would have definitely gotten in trouble for hopping on the wall. But so. We actually jumped a little bit out here. A lot of people don't really know who you are. I mean, a lot of people do know who you are, Chris, but let's get a little bit of background on who you are, where you've come from, and why do you keep causing so much chaos in the class?
I keep causing so much problems. So I'm a Brit lost in the northeast of the USA. I've been over here for about 11 years now. Lived all over the world. Been a climber since I was much, much younger. So about 25 years now climbing, which... I love it. It's absolutely amazing. Grew up bouldering, transitioned into trad climbing, moved over to sport climbing, and now I'm back bouldering again. So enjoying the process.
That's an interesting transition from boulders to trad to sport. I feel like you swapped those last two.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of how it happens in the UK though.
Okay.
It's that kind of more, I guess more of an organic process because typically people go outside first and then they climb in gyms. Whereas here it's definitely the opposite way. People come to a climbing gym first, meet some people, find a gym to crag session, etc., and then end up outside. So a little bit different. I'm a route setter with obviously GOAT and USA Climbing L4, which is fun. So worked on national crews, and I'm a coach as well. So well-rounded, hopefully.
And just for some context, L4 for people who don't know the USA Climbing setting standards. L1 is you sign up for a clinic and you learn from a crew. Could you give like brief rundown of what those distinctions are?
L1 is a very basic format. It's an educational component, which is really, really good. And it allows everyday route setters to elevate their skills to a competition standard. When you attain your L2, again, you can go through the course process and be accepted. And that enables you to achieve a local event, be it boulder or sport, during the qualifying event season, which is really good. L3 is the certification you get once you've done an apprenticeship, and it enables you to achieve a regional event. L4, you have to do, I've changed it recently, but you have to do a couple of apprenticeships at national level, and it enables you to achieve the divisional, and then L5 is your national chiefs.
And there's only a few L5s in the country, right?
There's not that many, about 20. Not all of them are continuously working, obviously, because we have jobs.
Yeah.
And then you have the IFSC after that, which is very hard to get into.
Yeah. It's a hard life for setters.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's really hard
hard on the body.
Hard on the body.
Very demanding to be. There's a lot of things that you have to do and sacrifice to be able to do in order to get those next levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All for USA Climbing, and we know they support you guys very well, right?
I mean, yeah, it is a big give and take environment, and I will just say okay.
Yeah.
But that's why I love this kind of format event with the Showdown. We get to play our own rules. We can create a drop down dyno. We can do silliness, as long as it's fair, safe, obviously, and true to the round. I think it's kind of fun to give us a bit more leeway to experiment and create chaos, as you put it.
And you guys are one of the only, or I should say, you guys host a lot of the USAC events in this area. You guys are Region 82.
Yes, that's right.
For people who don't know, there's different divisions and regions within USA Climbing for youth competitions, and gyms that are willing to host are growing, but not always. There's not always a lot of locations that are willing to put on an event and able to put on a high quality event.
Yeah,
we're very lucky in that way, especially as Goat was built to be a competition facility. I mean, you walk in, you're on that mezzanine, there's a beautiful view of the lead wall. It makes sense that we're a host facility, but that being said, we apply to be a host facility just like everybody else, and we aren't always given the event. Sometimes we are, but the nature of the facility does lead itself to a high quality event, and then obviously having the experience of myself and the route setting crew certainly helps. I have a great assistant manager, a great head coach, great head route setter now. So we've really broadened our staffing to support these bigger format events. I think that showed. This recent Showdown set wasn't really crazily hard, which sometimes, it can be pretty brutal.
Unfamiliar. Don't know.
We're very lucky. I like to bring in guest route setters. I really like to support other route setters from different areas to further their education. And then it enables my route setters to gain education from them too. And so this year we did a bit more experimentation of how the event was actually set, and I allocated category chiefs. So I oversaw the entire event as the competition chief, and then I oversaw the entire of the open round with another guest setter called Keith North, who holds the same certification myself. He's from G1 Climbing. Huge shout out to Keith, by the way. Absolutely brilliant guy.
G1, that's Colorado, right?
Yep, that's right. Ever get the opportunity to work with Keith, you should do it. He's great. So double shout out to Keith. And myself and him, we settled the open boulders, ran them all, etc., etc. And then the whole crew interacted with different boulders as per our needs. And so on the team, we then had Chris T, who's our head coach here now, who oversaw the U14 round for me. And then Matt Dizan, who did the intermediate round. Blake took the advanced round. And then we kind of did a bit of a collaboration process with the beginner and the masters boulders. And that was nice because it really allowed the chief to really get into the weeds with those boulders and create some really cool movement that was appropriate to the whole round. And then we had guests. We had Don Teese come over from RCC. We had Cara come in from GP81. Obviously Keith as well. Oh no, I'm missing somebody. Phil. And we had Phil coming from Method. Sorry, Phil. And Phil came in for finals day, which was really cool. So, yeah,
that's awesome. That is a crew. That's a really high level.
A big thing I notice about you in general, Chris, is that you are really big about supporting growing setters. Like that's really big thing. Almost every time I talk with you, you're just like, how you're just trying to build that community, build setters, and it's a daunting task, and you are definitely making
route hard.
Yeah,
route setting's a tough life. Like you alluded to already, it's make myself sound kind of old now, but like back in the day when I started saying, it was concrete walls, it was all hand tools, it was horrible, it was hard work, and it broke your body. Like my elbows still hurt from years and years and years of route setting. And it was poorly paid. You didn't get paid for internships. You didn't get paid to come and do stuff like this. So we should be moving forward as an industry and supporting the growth and development of our staff. You see it in every other professional industry. Why aren't we doing the same thing here? And it's a testament to the owners of this gym that they've kind of given me the run of the building and said, all right, let's make it work. And it does help having the fact that the owners of GOAT have had a daughter go through the USAC systems, understand some of the pressures from a team side and from an athlete side. And then we have a very good working relationship, which enables me to drive things forward. And we do the same thing for our coaches. We do the same thing for our supervisors, our general staff. GOAT is a place of community and competition. And sometimes those two don't always work together, but we do our best.
The being so community driven, I've got to assume that a lot of the participants are members of the gym, but I think
wildly not.
Really interesting.
Wildly not. A lot of the intermediate competitors were all beginners last year in the categories. We see a lot of our members there. We had a good proportion of advanced, masters, and open competitors from our youth programs and their parents, which is really cool. And really excitingly, we had a bunch of our junior and senior kids who were just in the right age brackets, who took place for the first time this year and competed, which was a really cool beginning step for them before they went into the USAC run of things.
That's so cool.
But yeah, I walked around and I was like, you guys are from Cliffs or Old Cliffs. There's some method climbers over there. Those guys are Valhalla. And the fact that, we had the Canadian crew come down. We had Jacob and his family come up from Atlanta for the event.
So cool.
It's starting to broaden. It's starting to get bigger, which is exciting. So
Yeah, it's very cool.
Forward to the future.
I know, because the first year you threw it, you had Colin Duffy come through.
Yeah, Colin Duffy showing up on the day of the event. That caused me some problems. I admittedly did reset 2 boulders on the go, and I actually reset one entire finals boulder 15 minutes before finals started.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Didn't stop him. He still flashed everything, right?
No, it took him 8 attempts to send that boulder.
Was that the first? Really?
The first boulder number one.
The first one, yeah. That one was
He was furious. It was great. But no, he's such an amazing competitor. I was very lucky to foreign nationals with him a couple of years ago. He's a lovely kid. Really nice person.
Yeah.
There's a recent Tension just put out a new episode of Board Lords. It's him and Nathaniel Coleman, and it's wild to watch. Anybody? It's good. Yeah, good. 2 goons just having a good time. I would say chaotic good. Nathaniel Coleman and Colin Duffy versus Adam Shahar and the Wheelers.
I mean, it would be awesome to see Adam back at Showdown. Obviously, he's been in Bishop, completely tearing it up with Brian and crew. Yeah, but it would be cool to see one year the full Northeast at Showdown.
My God. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's going to be hard on the setters.
Well, the wonderful thing is
right now, right? Tearing it up.
Yeah, they're all in Bishop.
Yeah. The joy of the bracket-based system is actually the finals boulders don't have to be that hard in terms of the physicality level. If you do a standard 4 or 5 boulder final, those boulders are hard. They're really hard. And it does absolutely trash the route setting crew early on in the process. Especially, we typically set finals first, 4 on it all, get it all done. So then we know where our finals are sitting. We can test elements within the qualifying round. So, for example, men's boulder this year had that latch. You sort of flew to the pocket and then do the swing round and catch up move. We set that in the quali round at a very low level to test their IQ, to see if they understood it quickly. And actually, we saw that some of them didn't. So when we put the finals boulders up, we actually tuned that slightly to make sure that the show would go on, because it is a show ultimately in finals. Mm-hmm. So the pressure for this competition is actually on the qualifying round, and the athletes are starting to see that, which is really exciting. And hence the qualification boulders were hard. You had Jacob Southern, phenomenal place in first place in qualies. Took him 26 attempts to do those boulders. 10 boulders, 26 attempts. That's quite high.
Yeah. And he was the only one to snag 10 tops.
Yep.
And then Matt Rodriguez with 9, Augie Chi with 8. We'll come back to Augie Chi in a second and talk about the return. But to have only one person have a 10 top round is really awesome. And to have 10, 9, 8 for the top 3,
pretty sick.
That's about as perfect of separation as you can get.
And the really exciting thing for me, especially if you look at the bottom stack, they got a top. And then they got tons of zones and tons of light zones. And any route setting crews are are watching this, please put low zones in comps. It's
Yes.
a great way to enable all competitors in the bottom third to have a day of achievement. I think it's the right thing to do. And I was really proud of the results this year. And it wasn't just open; it was advanced, it was intermediate, beginner, U14s. The spread was the best we've done, I think, and I think it's a testament to my crew, the work they put in.
And I love how, and I don't. So Jacob qualified first, but didn't even make top 3, right? And so you see Chris smiling because he loves this.
Oh yeah,
he loves it. I mean, and it's and the same thing. Like, so we had JoJo qualifying 3rd, which is still kind of crazy, coming in, of course, on top at the end. And then Nora Chi qualified 5th, and then she came in 3rd. And Yelia Southern, who
qualified first,
so
and then
I'm guessing she's sister related to
Jacob.
Jacob.
Sister to Jacob. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's. I mean, I haven't seen it before. I've seen Jacob. I believe in the last Showdown, he was.
Yeah, Jacob came up from Stone Summit last year and did the same this year.
Yeah, but it was just great to see that.
Super competitor. Really, really nice
Really
person, number one. Super polite. It was really lovely to talk to during quali round. And then, he turned it on and he put a show on. And that was the joy of it. Like, he went up against Colin, and Jacob picked the boulder that he was going to compete against Colin on.
Right.
And he picked the blue boulder. That thing was really freaking hard.
Colin ate it all up.
Colin turned around, and you could feel the energy in the room building him up. And Colin put on the show, and then Colin just looked at me and gave me a little thumbs up, and I was like, "Oh, here we go!" And he smashed that boulder.
He did.
He flashed it, and that then put the pressure on Jacob, and Jacob didn't send it. So
Colin.
Showdown.
Actually, Colin was a troublemaker, right? Because he did that, right? Knocked Jacob down, and then he broke the beta on problem 5.
He broke on boulder 5. Yep, he beat TJ. I can't remember which.
Quentin. He beat
Quentin.
But Quentin actually didn't get the top. So
he didn't even zone that boulder. It was wild.
Yeah, he didn't.
We tried that move. Colin Squire, watch out for that kid. Like, genuinely, that move was way too hard. And that's a testament to the athlete's level. We as researchers, we test these moves, we try these moves, we try all these ridiculous combinations. We're like, could that work? Maybe. All right, we'll hold the position, we'll try it, we'll put a big jug on, jump into the position. And you know what? Sometimes on the night of an event, and the lights are on, the music's going, the crowd are behind them, there is a 10% they gain that we don't see, that we don't feel. Admittedly, when we foreran these finals boulders, we actually put all the lights on this time. And we tested it in comp format to see how the lighting felt. And that was a really interesting test. All of a sudden, I was pulling on crimps. I was like, I don't really want to, I can pull that. It feels good. And that was really good. That was a really interesting way to test the final product. But watch out for Colin. He's an absolute animal.
He's got energy.
A monster. Yeah. And for somebody, to your point, somebody who loves the crowd and loves the energy like that, you put the lights on, it's maybe he's getting 20%. Everybody else is getting 10.
Yeah, the fact that he put on that cowboy hat and tried the boulder. What a great show. And I think that was one of the lovely things going into ISO to bring down the boys and bring down the girls as well. Just be like, hey, you've done the work. Qualities are done. Now it's time to put on the show. Now it's time to enjoy yourself. Yeah. And to their testament, they did a wonderful job. So thank you to the athletes, number one.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of athletes, Augie Chi making a return.
Augie's back.
Yeah, he's
Exciting.
Back.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm always wondering what back means to him, because he makes these rare appearances out of nowhere, and then it seems to only be for the comps that he's really excited for. So obviously, GOAT, he's going to show up.
He was super psyched. Had a good time, and thank you very much, Augie, for showing up. He also showed up to our boulder QE within youth, so it looks like maybe Augie's back for the season. Who knows? Watch out every single climbing gym. Augie's on fire. Looking strong as ever and competed well.
He's looking
excited to see how they do.
Top shape, very focused, and I mean, that's when he made his appearance. It was at the Rock Club. There. I was like, "Whoa, is he back?" And then he just disappeared again. He just kind of makes his appearance and then dip out. But I think also at the Rock Club, he wasn't in the form he's in But like he definitely came back.
Well, we know he's been setting over at Method as well, which helps.
Yeah, but I feel like he's been training though. He's been training, and he's ready to compete again.
I guess we need to get Augie as a guest on this next.
Yeah, we need to ask Augie what the deal is.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can get Augie on, and then maybe we can finally get JoJo to actually hop on. But yeah, no, for sure, we'll definitely if I catch him out in the wild again, he's gonna definitely be on the next.
He's elusive.
Yes.
If I can switch gears for a minute, you guys hosted the NACS rope comp this year, where I think pretty famously Chris Sharma had a pretty great run there.
Yeah, not every day you get Chris Sharma showing up. That was pretty cool. Admittedly, when we first saw the sign up, I had so many questions from the crew, like, is this real? Is someone kidding with us? And one of the USAC crew were like, oh, maybe he's got FOMO, missing out. So, but no, that was an amazing event. So we hosted the NACS, so North American Cup Series, Sport and Speed, back in September. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which is now a million years ago. Time needs to slow down. But hosting something like an NACS comp or a USAC divisionals, I think what a lot of what it feels like in the community right now is there's a different attitude towards officially sanctioned versus local comp. And I don't know if that's the show element of a local comp or the fact that you don't have to be a part of the organization. But when you guys are setting, when you're mentally preparing for it, is there a different attitude through that process for you guys? Does it feel different?
Yeah, there's definitely a different feel to it. I think you're right in that way. A big part of it is this idea of developmentally appropriate. There's a phrase I use a lot with junior and newer route setters, because all too often everybody gets psyched. And then all of a sudden I see this boulder going up and it's something for like a 13-year-old kid. And it's like some ripping shoulder blaster move. And I'm like, whoa. That is appropriate for men's open quali. That's fine. Let's just size it the right way. So it's always this idea of like, is something developmentally appropriate for the round? Does it fit into the round? Does it build the right way? Does it feel the right way? And often the time with youth comps, we're constantly thinking about our lower level competitors right up to our higher level competitors. They're all competing in the same bracket. So you could have somebody who is their first comp ever going up against Augie, Cullen Squire, one of these machines who's competing at the open level on a national level, Showdown and all the rest of it. So we're constantly having to think about, okay, well, we've got these boulders in a round, or we've got these routes in a round. How do we make sure that a entry-level competitor has success in the round somewhere? And then also, how do we make sure that the middle pack has success and the top of the pack has success? And then making sure that we get separation. So all too often, especially with sport routes build and get more difficult as they go up. They get more complex, they get more risky, they get more intense. So all too often, you go into a gym after a rope comp set, and you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to get on this comp route. And it's like you get clip one, and then all of a sudden you just feel it building, and everything just turns up a dial as you go higher on the route. And we do consider that within boulder rounds as well. I like to think of it as, okay, like within our round of 10 boulders, for example, for Showdown, which 3 boulders are we going to give like working tops for the bottom of the pack, and which zones are we going to give, and which low zones? So, and that's a nice way of doing it, because sometimes we can have like a boulder that the top of the boulder is actually designed for the top 5 boys, but the bottom of the boulder is actually designed for the beginning pack. And you can play that kind of psychological trickery a little bit with competitors who walk out and be like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I'm not sure. So yeah, we play a lot of, we spend a lot of time trying to plan out our rounds and our boulders and our formats. Also, it makes it much simpler that way to make sure that we don't cross into any boulders going over each other, for example, or landing zones impacting each other. And also consideration for visual deficiencies. So we really try to be careful of making sure we have high contrast colors. So, for example, we always set black and pink together. Visually, that makes sense. And then blue, orange, purple, green, red, yellow, etc. And if we have white, that's great. We can put that in the middle. So, yeah, we spend a lot of time in the planning phases before we get into comp mode. And
so the things that you've said you account for so far, and I'm sure the list is long, but you considered a risk for the master's age, high contrast colors for anybody with
everybody.
For everybody. Yep. You've considered developmentally appropriate for the people that are showing up. You've tried to make sure everybody can have fun on at least the beginnings of the climbs. Do you find that having all of these things that you're trying to keep in mind is limiting to your creative process and setting?
I don't find it that way because I find it easier if I'm ahead of the game before we start setting. I can give clear guidelines to the chiefs of the rounds. So we can have a discussion. For example, I had a great discussion with Matt, who ran our intermediate round. I was like, cool, here's the restrictions that I'm working with as an overall chief. Within that, here are your boulders that you need to set. Here's your 10 boulders. I've already assigned your colors for your zones. Here's where your zones are. Here's some resources that I would like you to put into these boulders. So we always, all too often, I think we go to great comps and we walk out as like advanced or open competitors. We're like, oh, sick. We've got all the best holds. We've got all the best volumes. We've got all the new toys. And you look at the beginner round and the intermediate round, you're like, wow, those guys have got like old holds. And they just don't look as cool. Right. So we really try to plan that ahead of time and be like, all right, so before we even start putting holes in the walls, we've already allocated a set of borderlines, for example, to beginner. Like, let's give beginners beautiful holds. Let's make them look awesome. Let's give intermediates the same experience that you would give to an open competitor. So for me, it's almost this, it is always a push and a pull and a give and a take. But within that, I give the category chiefs all the opportunities to set beautiful things and create and get interesting and get weird. But there will be some constraints here and there. But as long as I think if you're given, like we walk out to set a space, sometimes it's easier actually if you're told you need to set between that volume and that edge of the wall, for example, because then all of your ideas can then formulate into that space. Whereas if you walk out and they're just like, oh, set 5 boulders, and you're like,
starting where?
Where exactly? Starting where? Right. So I think the creative process can easily be enabled as long as there's clear explanation and discussion beforehand. And then I let my category chiefs go for it. I give them all the time and the space they need. They just have to check in with me. I run their rounds to make sure that they feel right, having set this a bunch of times and been saying it for a long time. So that's been nice. And then honestly, I give them the decision-making process. They have the authority to do things. I'll give them feedback. If there's obviously a genuine concern about a fall position or something weird, like a heel toe cam, don't like those. Then that will be an executive decision, which I'll say, hey, you need to take that out, but you're going to take it out and you're going to fix it. And you're going to go ahead and make it whatever. But we do try and consider okay, well, let's make sure we've got some modern movement in there, like a Lachey, for example.
Lachey is so hot right now.
It is. It's, last year it was the Wizard Step. We try and incorporate some of these ideas into rounds, but again, it's like we're trying to make sure we give the most rounded climber the opportunity to climb through boulders. And if you're really good on steep crimps, nice.
Yeah, have fun.
Right.
On your 2 boulders.
Right.
So, we are trying to get separation after all, ultimately. But we want to make sure everyone has fun.
But even in the finals rounds, you still had very, 5 problems, which is awesome. But those 5 problems are 5 very different problems with very different movement and different holds and different expectations from. And it was funny because I knew, and I forget your 2 MCs, but they were trying
Matt and Igor.
And Igor, right? They were trying to ask the competitors why they chose this climb, and they were like, "It looks cool, right?" But there's so much more to that, right? There's so much like that. This is my style, or whatever. I think Norwich, she at one point said it's steep, and I like steep climbs, right? And so she totally was like, right, that. But a lot of the climbs had specific movements that were, at least on the floor, in people's wheelhouse, and they were like, "That's the one I want to do because that's the one I'm going to excel at."
And that's that lovely element of the finals round is that a competitor can be like, maybe I can beat that person on that boulder,
right? Yeah,
and they might pick it or they might not pick it. In Colin Squire example there, number 1. And for me, that creates a really interesting competitive environment for the competitor and for the audience as well. I think the MCs did a really nice job of explaining it this year. You guys did a wonderful job of having that line stream going with exclamation rules going on at the same time. The bracket was really clear this year. We only had 1 technological hitch with a timer, which was great, all things considered.
It was fun on the live stream, but
it was fun on the live stream, exactly. The technological hitch was on
one error
our side.
The one error is no errors. That's
Yeah, we did have an issue, for some reason, displaying the the brackets on the live stream. I didn't realize it until afterwards. I was like, that was a little funky, but it was still there. But it was supposed to be full screen. It wasn't, and that was my bad. But we'll have it worked out for next time.
I think it was a really cool event.
Yeah, I think it went great. Yeah,
it went really nicely.
And
DJ
the turnover,
was nice and quick.
Nice and quick, and we had something to fill the time with, as opposed to just staring at a please hold for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean, and just to kind of go back, like Chris actually reached out to me and was like, what do we need to do to make this better? And we spent quite a few times, whether it's emails or phone calls, going back and forth and really planning and going through this. And not to say that other gyms don't put any effort into this, but Chris really wanted to make sure that this year was considerably better than last year, which was...
Are you throwing Tyler under the bus here a little bit?
No, not throwing Tyler under the bus. I'm not throwing Tyler under the bus. Tyler didn't even
I'd like
show
to
up.
clarify my statements. For the record, I loved the comp. Hated my own climbing ability. It was all self-hatred.
Yes, for those of you who don't
we're
know,
all trying to do something better for the community. So, like, if one gym's changing things or one gym's like pushing things forward in a direction, cool. I hope other gyms can learn from that and take it on. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and so if you missed the inside joke, or if you're not in the know, so Tyler.
Oh, we're at that stage. Let's go.
Well, you brought it up. I didn't even bring it up. But like, people are wondering what's so funny now. So Tyler actually got bumped from advanced
into open.
Yep.
Last year, against
by me, by the way. I take full responsibility of that. I bumped him.
Right.
I saw the name come through, and I was like, I know this dude. I know this person's strong and more than capable to climb in the category.
Sure.
Admittedly, to my fault, I did it a little bit late. My apologies. And last year we had men's advanced running in the afternoon. In the morning we had open men's, women's, and male intermediate. Just that was based on numbers, trying to fit everybody in the space effectively. Yeah. Learned a huge amount from last year, and actually this year we did men's open, women's open, men's advanced, women's advanced in the morning, and we planned it also. Each boulder has its own zone, so there were no roadblocks, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And then we had all the intermediate, beginner, under 14, master category boulders in the afternoon.
Yeah, it was a good spread.
Nicer.
For sure.
It was really nice. It was good.
Yeah. Having just been at the Metro Rock Bushwick comp, for Dark Horse, they had open and young guns, and I think all of open, all of young guns, and was it just open in the morning?
Just open young guns.
Yeah. Packed roadblock, tight space. I think they did the best they could with the space they have, and then it was pretty empty round in the middle of the day, and then reasonable round in the end, which I think if you're aiming for the most amount of people to attend finals, especially for Valhalla, for GOAT, that are a little bit more remote than some of the other city gyms where people can just go walk around and then come back for finals, or go home and come back for finals, trying to think about crowd retention for finals is important.
It's tough. I mean, I think big thanks to Hackensack Brewing, by the way. Those guys came in clutch the last minute. TJ, thank you so much. It was awesome. They're a great crew over at Hackensack. They're just up the road from us. He came in with his kids and he was like, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden, 14 cases of beer arrived. And I was like, brilliant. Thank you so much. And it's things like that, the giveaways, the sponsorship, the free things that we can give to the crowd do help. So, thank you to them.
Yeah, people who show up and watch finals. Good job.
The crowd, it was really nice looking across the crowd. The crowd was much bigger this year, which was really good. Way more diverse. It wasn't just all GOAT community. There's a whole bunch of people. There's a whole massive crew from Randolph Climbing Centre here this year. So big shout out to them.
And last year we had a snowstorm during finals. So I know a lot of people went home because of that.
Yeah.
I had, I think, a family gathering that I had to go to. I swear I didn't leave because I was throwing a tantrum.
This guy.
I threw my tantrum publicly, and, like an adult, and I went home and I took my nap. Had a great time at the event. loved the setting and was not strong enough. And I think my big push last year was, I think comps need a fifth category in between advanced and open, because if you look at the top 6 or top 8 in this case, all of them are climbing V13 and above.
Yep.
And there's a gap between V9 and V13.
I'd argue it could be even lower than that. I think you could definitely introduce an additional category in between the advanced and the open round, and it could be V7 to V9. The big problem that we have in the Northeast is there simply aren't enough competitors in that bracket to fill it out to make sense to set an additional round with more boulders, more time, more space, more effort, more sponsorship. So ultimately, every single time you add a round, that's another round of prizes that you have to give away. And it's another round of boulders that you need to set. Now, yes, I know you can share boulders. I'm not a super fan of doing it. I'm okay to do it. So I think we had 2 shared boulders in this round this year. I like to do it sometimes because it gives like an advanced competitor the opportunity to see an open competitor on their boulder as well. And they're like, oh, maybe next year I can do. So having that step up boulder as a share boulder in between categories, I think is a really cool thing to do. But doing it too much can then create that logjam moment in a boulder quali round, which can be tough. And if we were in Colorado, I'd be like, we are going to do this. Let's go.
Lovely.
Is that going to make sense in the Northeast right now?
Right.
Probably not.
Not yet.
Maybe in 5 years' time, when everything is moving through the right way. We're seeing a massive growth in the intermediate category, so maybe that's going to progress into advanced next year. Maybe the year after is the year when it becomes, I think you called it elite, if I remember rightly.
Fill in the blank, but I like elite. I think that's cool.
Something to broaden the gap and to bring more people into the competitive slots. Because it must be tough going out there as a competitor and seeing in the roster and just being like, wow, I'm going up against an Olympian, Canadian champion, national US champion who just sent V15. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And since I know that Sonny will never watch this, I'm ready to admit that when I got bumped, I told the person on the phone to bump Sonny too. I don't think you guys were going to.
I was going to drop that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Wow. They're fucking in the bus as well. Oh my goodness. I didn't know that. I mean,
He still doesn't know. Yeah.
He's going to know now. Someone's going to tell him.
Nah, he'll never watch it.
I'm going to send this to him.
Nah, he still won't watch it.
I'm going to just clip that. Just make that a short, clip that, and post it on it. Just that.
Yeah. Sonny and I think, have a very brotherly relationship,
Nice.
especially in comps, when we want the other person to succeed just less than we do. He had more fun than I did. He has a really fun time on those on that style.
Good.
I think he was just upset about waking up early. He's still a teenage boy.
Welcome to comp life.
Yeah, welcome to comp life. He coaches. He's used to it. One thing I was going to say about that kind of elite category is I think it is also a really good stepping stone for USAC competitors, where we're starting to see more and more that those are the people that are in finals. Just the level of competition for youth USAC is nuts. So looking at those 13 to maybe 16-year-olds who are just breaking into that open category, they can still have a developmentally appropriate round. Without feeling like they're up against an Olympian, and then they're, that next year they're finals contenders, because they just improve so rapidly.
I think that's one thing that Dark Horse did really well with Young Guns, and they actually did a final for them. I think that's a really nice format. I applaud them for that one. I think it's a really cool thing to do.
It's a lot of work.
It is, and Chris St. Pierre, who's former Rock Club, now Metro Rock head resetter, achieved that round, did a really good job on the finals bracket. So shout out to Chris for doing a nice job on that one. And I think that's one of the reasons that we drove the U14s, because we used to do under 14s as a regional development camp the day after or the day before. And this year we actually put them into the main round with everybody else as a tester to see how that worked. So we'll see what we do about that next year. But kids seem to really enjoy themselves. That's quite cool.
Something I ask a lot of the competitors is, we touched on it briefly, but different styles of movements come in and out of fashion. So the lache, super hot right now. 6 years ago when coordination style boulders were invented, it was the lean and catch a toe hook, which is now U13 status at comps. Is there a favorite that you've had of those trends, movement wise?
Ooh, that's gonna be interesting because our new head of research, Blake, really hates the flip catch, and we put one of those into one of our rounds. No, I mean, honestly, to me, it's really about just leaning into the space, leaning into the materials that we've got, and being creative and coming up with some new ideas, or maybe taking an old idea and just pushing the envelope of what's acceptable or what's available, what you can do with that movement. So something super simple like a toe catch release can be great if executed really, really well. And it's just making sure that the level is spot on. I really like setting slab. Like I always end up finding myself in setting horrendous slabs, and we did that many times in qualies. And Goat's starting to become known for slab is hard. And we found ourselves thinking, okay, well, why don't we just go really old school, go right back to slab origins, stand on something really, really bad, do a simple foot swap. One of the most simple moves in climbing, a foot swap. And so we leant into it. Both me and Keith were like, right, how bad can we make this foot swap? Turns out really bad. But it works.
Xavier competed in intermediate, and he was saying his proudest moment in the competition was being able to do the foot swap on the really shitty holds you guys gave them on one of the problems. And he was
great.
He was so proud of that.
He competed in intermediate this year. Yeah. I think there's always that problem or issue or thing that happens where one person in a route setting crew is on open. Let's say for myself, I was setting that black slab boulder downstairs and we're just putting that foot on and just balancing and falling and balancing and falling. And you see the intermediate crew sort of look over and be like, oh, that's a good idea. And then it transmuted across. That was actually a discussion. Matt came over and he's like, can I borrow your idea? I was like, yes, but it's got to be somewhere else in the gym. And that's okay. That can happen. And it's really cool that the intermediate competitor can see themselves doing a similar move to the open competitor.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting thing to see. Obviously, the level is completely different. But so in my mind, creating something that's super simple and very basic and an item that we see every day on boulders, routes, the whole lot, in a competition moment, on a quali round, at a high level, it's kind of exciting. As much as the step up, jump, catch, blah, 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 blah moves. And they're beautiful. And I like that kind of format in the finals round because it is a show. Like with Blue, we saw that sideways lâché, one-handed 90-degree lock catch thing.
So cool.
Super cool move. Super cool. And the pink boulder flying way out into a pocket and then redirecting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I like that the 2-finger pocket, and then the beta was to use the wall to get up to the next move, which was just no holds, and I thought that was really interesting to see that it was Matt Rodriguez, I think, that unlocked that. That was a really, really well done.
He executed that boulder to a T.
Yeah.
To an absolute T, and he did a wonderful job with it. He almost fell off a blue boulder, which is wild as well. At the top, his foot slipped, and I was like, "Oh, please, no, come on!" Immediately, the hold he was going, from was good enough that he could dial it in and then get the foot in the correct position and come up, and then completely showboated the last move, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But it was coming into that final boulder. Think back to year 2, and it was the girls who went first. Girls went last, and it was unfortunately Jojo who couldn't do the palm down shoulder.
No one could do that.
And that haunted me for an entire year because I set that blasted boulder, and I did that move over and over and again, and brought it in tighter and tighter and smaller, and all the rest of it. And that's on me as the chief, because on the final day when we were doing the final tweak, I got that adjustment and just dialed it 5% more. Because I needed to make sure that we had that moment of perfection and separation. And unfortunately, that was a tweak just too far. And a great resetter, Cody Gralski, if you're watching it, thank you for this one. He said, it's basically like kind of trying to thread a needle, but you're threading a needle under pressure, and all you're doing is making educated guesses. We've watched the quality round, we've looked at the results, we know how the boulders feel, so we're trying to dial it. And last year we had that yellow boulder on the finals, literally the last boulder they did, and Jojo chopped it, and then I tweaked that boulder under complete instinct. And I was on a ladder, just gently turning, and the lights were going, the music was going, everyone was shouting. I was like, please get this right. And then Matt Rodriguez's last move of the entire comp, he latched it and leant back, and I was like, oh no. And then he went and caught the final hold, and that was a full-blown redemption for me.
Full redemption arc.
Yeah, and we had some great photographers here this year, and last year had some wonderful photographers, and one of them's got a shot of Matt topping the boulder, but right in the bottom left of the frame is me just like screaming my head off like clipboard waving. And it was cool. It was a wonderful moment. And this year, again, we threaded the needle the right way, and we got the level just pretty much spot on.
Sure.
It was a great comp. I was really, really psyched on it. And it was cool watching it again, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, and from a qualifying round, I wasn't able to make it, but the competitor said that it was really well set, and of course, intermediate and beginner round, everyone loved the spread, and they thought it was really well set. Definitely very spicy, and it was interesting, because I was going through the footage and looking at particularly that one black climb, and how it was just awful for everyone at the top, at the very top. No matter if you were it was like, oh, maybe it's because you need to be smaller, small, tall, it didn't matter. You had just to really work to get that top, which is really hard to do, to make it attainable, right? To see people actually get it, but then also, the different ways people were finding to be able to do it. It was mainly, I think, mostly just having the confidence to think that you can do it. And at that intermediate level, it is a big confidence thing. I'm not going to fall and die if I just let go with this other hand.
I think that's a testament to the Route Setting crew. It's a big testament also to some of our forerunners who came in. Mm-hmm. We're very lucky that 4 or 5 forerunners who I've been working with for a long time now, who fit into the intermediate bracket and who also fit into the advanced bracket and the open bracket. So they come in, they're different shapes and sizes to us, and we get to see them do some moves occasionally. We're like, oh, didn't expect that.
Right.
Cool. How are we going to navigate this? Do we lean into it? Do we pull back from it?
Right.
And that was really, really beneficial. So thank you very much to TJ, to Jordan, to Annie, to Nick. Forgetting somebody, whoever the other person was, thank you so much. You're awesome.
Very memorable.
Very memorable people.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm terrible with names.
Yeah. It was well played. Finals round, really exciting. And so, me being behind the cameras, and I was actually stationed behind the route setters, right? The team of route setters, and every once in a while, Chris would navigate over that. And you can see the excitement in his, in his body, in his face, when things went, I'm going to say his way is not really the right term, but just essentially when things got mixed up, the person on top wasn't necessarily the person that was rolling through to the next round. And it was really cool to kind of see that. Just talking about Jacob Southern when he got knocked by Colin, right? Yep. And then he went up against Augie, and then even an Augie on the next round still managed to take that and take third. So you have the first place, not, saying that Chris is excited that Jacob didn't get first, but the format really leans to you got to be on your game, you got to be under the pressure, and let's really push the envelope, and no one's doing that right now.
Yeah, to Jacob's testament, he knew he'd been knocked. As soon as he came off that boulder, he heard the crowd. He knew what was happening. The athletes are sitting, facing the crowd. They don't get to watch whoever they're going up against, to view the boulder. But I'm sure Jacob understood that the boulder had been topped, and the pressure was high.
Yep.
Jacob spent a while brushing and checking and reading his beta and getting it right. And unfortunately, he did drop the boulder.
Yeah.
It was going from zone to top. And he came down, and I could see the disappointment in his face. I went over as the chief thrower and just gave him a fist bump and was like, nice work. Just give it another shot. You can do this boulder.
Mm-hmm.
And he could have sat down. He could have just been like, nope, I'm done. I'm over it, whatever.
Right.
But he gave it 5 more tries, and he ripped and ripped and ripped. And hats off to him. Thank you, Jacob, because at that point, the athlete is, they know they're out. But personal pride, maybe wanting to try the boulder, or maybe just pure psych.
Yeah.
But he sort of mentioned that I'm like, come on, one more. And the crowd then got behind him, and it was an awesome moment of watching an athlete go for it. So yeah.
It reminded me of at LIC finals last year when Adam Shahar after the round was done and everybody was standing up to leave, came up to me and was like, "Can I try this massive campus move one more time?" With like a split on his finger, he like threw himself fully at like a one-arm dyno to a crimp, just for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, kid's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew he already had first, right? And even going into that, he put everything up until the last second. So yeah, he just like once again wanted to finish it out for sure.
I love the fact that it is hard to predict how the podium is going to look, because a lot of times in finals, the 1 through 6 stays 1 through 6.
Yep.
You know, you came in first, you're probably going to come in first. Anything can happen.
It's kind of boring in that way.
Can be.
And like, I really liked actually Basim's suggestion when we were talking about like how we can make the live broadcast better in finals, about having climbers go side by side. And in our first inauguration, we had all the climbers kind of running at the same time. It was a bit chaotic. And this year, it's just 2 climbers on the wall. And that worked really well, actually. It looked really nice. And it was a cool format to watch. Definitely getting athletes talking a bit more about the boulders would be great.
Interviewing climbers is always a challenge. They have a hard time talking about anything but climbing and how much they love climbing, which can be great. And then sometimes asking them their tactical decision making, you're going to get like, look cool.
Look cool, yeah.
That's what that's what we got. Look cool.
That's really interesting when we bring the athletes out and they get to preview their boulders. All the girls were working together to break down the beta, and they were discussing, maybe, do you want to do this one with me? I'm not sure. And they were acting
really
as a group. Yeah, they were planning their plan of attack as a crew, as a collective. Whereas the boys weren't necessarily doing that. And it was really interesting how the girls were almost like viewing it as this, right, we're going to band together and we're going to take down these boulders. It's us versus the route setters, us versus like the GOAT crew and all the rest of it, which I thought was really cool. Whereas the boys came out and they were just like, no, I'm going to crush you on that boulder.
Which is also cool.
The competitive element was real.
Yeah. I remember one of the competitors, when Igor had asked her like which boulder you're going to do, she looked to her opponent and was like, which one do you want to do? Like,
which one do you want to do? That's not quite the point, girls.
Yeah, come on, get after it. It's a showdown.
Yeah, I think that was cool. I like the fact that it brought out these different approaches in the different stacks. So yeah.
Listen, we've been going for almost an hour. I want to let you get back to your always busy schedule.
Always busy schedule.
You made a list of sponsors to thank. We'll make sure we get that.
A couple of thanks. Obviously, Basim, this guy. Thank you so much.
I was so sad I couldn't make it. I was away in Iceland for a week.
Tough life.
I know, tough life.
Thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And for live streaming, it was really good. Big shout out, of course, to Arteryx. They're one of our sponsors. Actually, for the Masters round, so Basim, I'm sorry you missed out on that one.
Oh my god.
And then Beta Labs, thank you very much. Continuing support. Thanks very much, Craig and crew. And congratulations to Austin for sending some pretty amazing stuff recently. Betabreakerz yourselves, obviously there. Metolius and Madrock, thank you very much. Ep5 and Butora, huge thanks. And obviously to Hack Inside Brewing, you guys came in. Thank you so much. And obviously the route setting crew, GOAT community and staff, and the GOAT community. Thanks very much for putting up with us. Appreciate you guys.
And we thank you mainly, like, for really pushing the envelope and enjoying mixing it up and not caring what everyone says. Continue to do that and continue to grow the sport. So
and we got some more ideas for next year. So
awesome.
Just wait and see.
Let me know.
I'm so psyched.
Yeah, for sure. And so also don't forget, guys, if you're looking for coaching, especially coming into the new year, check out Tyler. Tyler's an awesome coach.
Actually, we've got one thing that we can announce.
What?
Big news. You may have seen in the previous year, we did a big competition series called Money Heist Monday. Competitors could come in and climb on a route, that was set for their bracket, again, using the traditional, the intermediate, the advanced, open, etc. And we always did it after a sport comp. And it was cool. You bought a day pass, and $10 of that day pass went straight back in the pot. Men and women competed in the same bracket, and everybody went for that one pot. Highest hold, shortest time, one attempt. And it was amazing. It was really, really good fun. this year we're not doing as many USAC rope events. So we are going to do one Money Heist Monday, and it's going to be after our upcoming Sport QE, which is going to be the 23rd of February. So there'll be a Money Heist Monday traditional. Then we are hosting the USA Climbing Collegiate National Qualifying event on boulder and rope, which is going to be the end of March.
Wow.
So we're going to do a Money Heist Sunday, and it's going to be a big community rope comp, cash prize for all competitors, which is going to be super cool.
We'll have to definitely get that on Climbing Noise. So
yes, we'll get that with you guys. Maybe we live stream it. Who knows?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Throwing you out there. But yeah, if you guys are loving comps, come along. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah, for sure.
There'll be some more information coming up on the website.
Yeah. And speaking of comps, the day before your 23rd, we have Feats of Strength at Valhalla.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, I'm so psyched. Everybody come sign up, come have fun. It is one of the 2 best comps of the year in our area. You pick which one you like better and let us know.
Showdown.
10 million views on Instagram. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, Isaac.
That was for Isaac. Yeah.
It was for me. But hope everybody signs up and comes out and competes. Like last year, if you're somebody who's coming from the city, we have a bus that's going to be taking people from the train station to the comp before the second round and after finals. So there's going to be food and games and full service entertaining day. Hope everybody comes out.
Yeah. And there's actually literally just had a bunch of stuff that we need to add to our calendar. Just to name a few, Blockbuster, which is actually up in Canada, hosted by the Richardsons. It's another comp we're going to be live streaming. And also we are going to be live streaming the Canadian. It's much easier to work with Canada than USAC. I'm going to just put that out there. The Canadian Youth Mead Finals.
Awesome.
We're doing that in February as well. So a really busy February. I don't think we have anything streaming for the next couple of weeks, but catching up on some gym tours. I'm going to actually post the GOAT gym tour that I filmed with Chris last year.
Yeah.
Along with a whole bunch of other gym tours. As well, of course, as this and some other Betabreaks that are been in the queue. So just really excited. Thank you, Chris, so much for your time.
Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Can't wait to do this again. And once again, thank you, Tyler, our international correspondent on vacation. And we'll see you all on the next one. We'll see you later.
See you later. Thanks.